Another week, another day I'm out in the shop. This is getting pretty crazy. Hey everybody, before we start this video, I wanted to give a big thank you to everybody. I got a ton of comments in my last video, messages on the Facebook page and on Instagram and emails and text messages about, everybody kind of battling with the same things. The struggle is real these days. Everything's crazy in this world, so that means a lot. The one that stands out the most to me right now is my buddy Anthony, Mr. Griffin. I'll link him. I'll see if it'll let me do it up here, but if not, it'll be down in the description of his YouTube page or his channel. He's got very similar interests as I do, LSs and old Chevys, horsepower, all that. Anyway, I got a really good text message from him just checking in on me. He's good people. Check him out. We became friends. We've never actually met, but we became friends, 2 or 3 years ago now. We were kind of both just starting out on YouTube. He's done excellent. Good people, check him out. I just wanted to plug him. So anyway, back after it. One disclaimer, this video is going to be a little chopped up in that it's over the course of almost 3 weeks. The parts that I dropped off at Paint that I will talk about in this video, just body shops, I know how they are. It's a floating schedule, with just everything going on, insurance jobs and all that. But I talked to him. The panel here and the panel over here are going to be done hopefully this week, he said. So we'll have those so we can get going. So anyway, back after it. All right, everybody. Had a couple free hours today, so I thought I'd get out here and do some work. I was just kind of grinding this morning just because I got to get it done. But I want to give a little update. This video is going to be the culmination of several weeks worth of work. But what I was able to do kind of off camera, trying to figure out how this was going to mount with the vintage air condenser. My holes, and you probably won't be able to see that, but you actually can. That little light spot right there is actually a divot. I don't know what happened to that hole there. I can't tell you there, but that divot right there is where the hole needs to be for the mount. So those are the stock condenser mount. You can see one there. So I'm going to have to shift this whole thing over. That's probably about 3/8, 7/16 right there. So I got to shift this whole thing over. I'm hopeful that what I can do is I'm going to do a combination. I'm going to slot the holes in this a little bit and the core support so that I can get it over there so that I can keep the hole covered, because that's going to bug me if I can see the hole, because I'm going to end up welding the holes in and painting this whole thing. And what I like about this core support is this is original. This sucker has not been painted. So that is kind of what's cool about this thing here. Is the guy I bought it from, it's still got, original kind of patina on it. And it's been touched up a little bit, I think, on the top rail here. But nonetheless, I'm rambling. I kind of want to keep that because that's the whole thing about this truck is it's kind of like a time capsule-ish type thing with new stuff in it. So anyway, I got that figured out. The lines go through the hole like it's supposed to. But today what I was working on, and I'm actually going to take these plates. I have gone back and forth all week on what we're going to do with these plates. I was going to leave them black because I kind of like how it looks black, but I talked to a local painter, Tanner's Customs on Instagram. He's downtown Kansas City, Missouri. Talking too fast. But he does some really cool stuff. So I talked to him. I'm going to drop those off tomorrow and get them painted to body match. So I'm actually taking the glow box to him because this is supposedly Ford Performance Red off of a 95 Cobra R, but I got touch-up paint from Ford, and it is too red. So he's going to do his best to match it and paint that and that cover over there. But what I did today was, and I came in and rushed this through, is, I don't know if the camera's going to focus, but this vintage air kit just came with standard zinc-plated bolts. It had a bolt here and a bolt here, and then the rest of them were just zinc oxide. I don't know why this isn't focusing. It's focusing right there. But anyway, the rest of them are all zinc oxide, just machine screws. Kind of like how they used to do. Kind of like, all the other screws on these trucks. I didn't like the look of that. So what I did is I went and got some stainless button head bolts. There we go. For all of these things, including the two. There's one here and one here that go through the firewall and bolt to the bracket on the inside of the cab for the vintage air unit itself. So that's all I've got time to do today. So I came and I drilled all these holes out so I can put, these are just 1/4 inch, 20 bolts. There's a couple 1 inch and the rest of them are 3/4. But I think it looks a lot better. And I kind of like it. So, now that I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm still torn. Do I want to keep them black or do I want to paint them? But anyway, so I was going to get some touch-up paint because the the heater box there scratched that up just a little bit when I was pulling it out. It looks like it's been scratched before I did it, but and I got some little white rings there and just little touch-ups here and there. I have some touch-up paint, but it's already been reduced to spray that I got when I bought the truck. I can use it for tiny little things, but anything big, it's just too thin. So, but yeah, that's what I'm up to today. So later this week, I'm gonna get this plate back and we'll pick this video back up and we'll start with the install. So I've kind of started getting everything together. I've got everything for inside the truck to cut the holes. I had to go find I'm just gonna use because I'm using the vintage air ones. They're the tiny little ones. They don't go all the way out into here like the stock ones do. So the tiny little ones that'll sit right down in there. I'm going to use a body saw on that. So I had to go track down some blades, which I don't know why, but nobody has them in stock. So I was actually able to find them at Harbor Freight of all places. I don't know if they're worth a shit or not, but I've got them. So then I'm going to get some insulation and cover this all up back here behind the stock heater box that was there. Get that all, and then I got to get, like I said in the last video, some black vinyl. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud of what I got to get done. The heater wire, heater/AC wire that goes into this harness for the heater. I'm going to depin that and put a plug on the end so I can run a jumper over to the vintage air controller, and then all that wiring over there. These things are super simple, and we'll get to that. There's not a lot to hook up there. I think inside the cab, I think it's got that one wire I just talked about that is basically an ignition wire. Is the car on? Is it off? And then there's a dimmer one that controls the LEDs in that, which I don't even know if that even actually will work or not, because I know it doesn't work with my Dakota Digital. But anyway, I got to hook that up, and then the rest of it just goes out into the engine bay and hooks up to the battery. So anyway, that's it for today. I am going to go take this plate off now real quick, head out, and then I got to come back this week once it's all painted and put it all together. So we will pick back up then. All right, it's been about a week. I didn't get a chance to get out here. We had a snowstorm, snowpocalypse, as the weather channels wanted to portray it. I think we got about 4 inches of snow, but that kind of slowed everything down. I was able to get that panel and the fresh air panel dropped off at the body shop to get paint matched. They are hoping 2 weeks or so. We'll see. Body shops, they're kind of a little bit of a sliding scale. My first job was actually at a body shop, so I know how it goes. The schedule is always in flux. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get those back here pretty quick. Have not done anything out there. Today, what I'm actually doing, and I spent some time setting this up this morning, was cutting the dash. I have been dreading this whole project. It's cutting a 50-year-old truck's dash, which, only get one shot at this. Somebody's already hacked up the radio there, but this one's a little harder to hide. So I've been taking measurements. I've been using the actual vent as a reference. Make sure I have enough room between the radius of the dash here, where it comes back from the dashboard and goes back to the flat, and also clearance on the this side here between the weather strip and the vent itself. So the weather strip, these are actually the precision push-on, so they're a little bigger than stock, but everything looks like it's going to fit out. So I think I'm going to take the plunge here and cut these things. So I'm actually going to use a body saw and then use a, Lance, if you're watching this, I still got your head porting kit sitting on a shelf. I'm actually using some of your head porting stuff. So it's just a barrel sander. I'm going to sneak up on the dimensions. So I'm going to cut it small with the body saw, and then sand it out just so I can sneak up and make the thing fit perfectly. This is not perfectly flat. The way this works, you could shove it all the way over, I'm assuming with stock seals, door seals that is, but I have to leave enough room so that thing, because this thing has, I don't know if you can see it here, yeah, a little bit of a lip. I need some clearance between this and the rubber seal here, so I had to slide it over just ever so slightly. I mean, I'm pretty much exactly where they wanted on the edge of the dash over there. Sorry, that was kind of bright, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So wish me luck. We'll see how this goes. Hell, no turning back now. I'm holding my breath. We'll see how this goes. I'm not going to film this first one because I'm too nervous. Okay, it's in. Not without excitement, but the body saw, I don't know if I do that again. I'm going to do it on the other side, obviously, in the middle, but the hole saw that they recommend, I think, what they say, a 2.5-inch hole saw might be your ticket. I had a problem, and you can probably see that problem by just by looking at this video, is I'm focusing away, Jesse James style, my tongue sticking out, cutting this thing. Jumped out, put a nick in the dash. So thank God it's on the bottom. I'm going to put some touch up on that. But man, that made me so mad. I stopped and I was just so mad at myself. But these things happen, man. Not everything's perfect like they show on TV. So, and the truck's not perfect. I mean, just sitting here looking at this, it's got some scratches up here and, you know, the door jamb. So it's not perfect, and I'm okay with that. The dash isn't perfect. I'm okay with that. So I have to keep telling myself, I know I want to do it perfect, but things happen, and I'm not building, you know, crazy cars. But it still bugs me. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on, I haven't decided if I'm going to do the middle one, the center vent, or the driver's side yet. I'm kind of boxed in on that side. I don't have a whole lot of room over there between the wall and the lift. So got one in. What I ended up using was a combination of things I used. The body saw to cut it just barely shy of the line. And then I used a combination of, excuse my mess here, I've got stuff everywhere, but I used a file, I used just a drum sander, and my main attack here is, well, I can't even find it now. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I got stuff everywhere. Just a die grinder. I don't know if that's going to focus or not. No, not going to. Not today. But anyway, what I use is that. This dash is thick, so it was eating up my sandpapers. So what I did was I kind of just used that, just real low speed to kind of just hone it back out. Kept trying it, hone it, try it. Once I got it really close, I used the sanding disc to just kind of give it a final smooth, and it plopped right in. One thing to note, on the back side of here, and I'll show on the other side if it has it, there is part of the support structure for the dash. It has a deal that bolts in right here. It has a little lip comes out like this. I ended up having to shave that thing. God, that thing is not focusing on anything. But I had to shave that lip. Maybe I'll put a picture up right now, but there's a little lip in there. So what I did was I used that same die grinder, and I just kind of eased the lip just a little bit so that slides right in. The back threads right on. So I think it looks good. I like it. I like the minimalist style of these Vintage Air vents. The other ones, the stock ones, are like those big old honky things that come off the bottom here, and the hole goes into the side of here. And I get why they do it. More airflow, but I like this. Kind of small. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to get setting up on the middle one and kind of show you how that works. All right, everybody, I'm feeling kind of defeated today. I got that one in, no problems. But the center one here is giving me all sorts of fits. According to Vintage Air, they want the bottom of the hole for the center vent to be 1 1/16 above the top of the radio hole. Well, my radio, obviously, my dash has obviously been cut, but so that's a terrible glare, but there's a remnant of it in here in the middle where it's at. So when I line that up, this is my template. It puts that hole way too high. There's no way that's right. So I don't know. I'm going to call Vintage Air tomorrow and see what's going on, do some digging online and see what I can find out for that vent. But a buddy of mine who built his truck last year said that his is about 1/4 inch above this body line right here, which makes sense. When you put the vent up there, that makes sense. But I just want to make sure before I go cutting the dash that is in the correct spot. But I can tell you right now, this 1 1/16 is too high. There's no way that's right. So like I say, I'm feeling a little defeated today. Been down here entirely too long cutting these 2 holes in the dash. But we got them. Got this one started laying out, but it got late in the day. So I'm doing some cleanup here. I'm going to get out of here and hopefully get back after it here in a couple days and see what we can do. I don't know, frustrating. And I apologize. I did not film that one because I was backed up against that wall over there, and I could barely even get my head in there to cut that vent in there. But they do look pretty sharp. I'll give them that. So once we get this figured out here, I'm going to actually video myself doing some work instead of just talking, which I feel like I've been doing. But on these things, when in tight spaces, it's tough. So anyway, we'll catch you guys back here in a couple days. So it's been another week. I had plans on getting out here every day this week, and just never happened. Just scouts and everything else, and then we got bitter cold. It was back down close to 0 again, and I don't want to get out in the shop when it's that cold. But anyway, last weekend I put up a short video asking for help on locating this center vent. Vintage Air showed that they wanted it, like I said, that thing 1 1/16 above the opening of the radio. Well, my dash has been cut, but there are remnants right here. You can kind of see that step. But anyway, that put the thing way too high. It was going to be up clear up under here, and it just didn't look right. Something wasn't right. So I had a gentleman respond, Jared Freemeyer. You can go back and check him out. He is working on a truck in his shop, so he took some dimensions for me. So what he did was he took some dimensions of the bottom of this lip to the bottom, or to the top. Well, I keep saying bottom. But anyway, the top of the ashtray here to the top of the radio, and that jived out. So then he had a measurement from here to from the top of this to the bottom of the hole I'm going to cut, and also from the top of the radio to the bottom of the hole. So those all jived out. So now I've got it located in the same exact spot as the factory truck. So here are those dimensions here. From the top of the radio to the bottom of the vent is 0.803 inches. From the top of the ashtray to the top of the radio is 3.05 inches. And from the top of the ashtray to the bottom of the vent is 3.860 inches. So just get some calipers out and measure them. And that should get it. So I have checked it and triple checked it and quadruple checked it. And I think that is the spot. So what I was concerned is it was going to go up underneath this lip here. The vent will go up under there a smidge, but it's got that curve on it, the radius that follows the dash, so it should sit just about flush with the bottom of the dash pad. Now this isn't a stock dash pad, so it may not be exact, but it's going to be really close. So anyway, enough with the rambling. I'm going to go ahead and set this up and start cutting that hole in the dash, and cross my fingers it goes well. Well, there she is. It's in. Finally, something without a hitch. As you saw, everything went well. No problems. It lines up perfectly. Apologize. My little Larry here is dying. This thing eats batteries. I don't know about you guys. I love this thing, but also hate it because it eats batteries. But anyway, there's about a 1/4 inch between the bottom of the actual vent and the body line there. So perfect. The dimensions he gave me were perfect. Big thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. That made this a whole lot easier because the numbers from Vintage Air did not make sense. So that's it. Looks good. So now I'm just going to work on, since I'm waiting on this plate here, I'm going to work on probably the condenser, get that thing mounted. Really can't do a whole lot up here until I get the unit in. I got to get some touch-up paint. Well, actually, I did get some touch-up paint, but I'm going to wait. Once I get the body stuff from the body man, I'm going to get some touch-up paint that matches that. So I can do a little touch-up there. And now that I have the light on this thing, I can see what's been done over the years to all this. But I'm going to touch up the holes that I cut on all 3 of them, smoothing that with some emery cloth so they're not rough. But yeah, one thing that I've been kind of thinking about here is my radio has been cut at some point, but it is as square as you can be, and it is smooth. There is no burrs, there's no nothing. Square 90-degree corners. It's almost like it came from the factory like this, and I don't think they did they? Just weird. Kind of curious what you guys think too, because I've never seen this before. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, there's nothing, and it looks like it came that way. But anyway, I'm going to go replace the batteries in this thing because it's driving me nuts, and I'm going to start working on the front of the truck. Well, true to form, my ADD got the best of me. I was going to put the condenser on. All I needed to do was drill 2 holes here and on the other side, but it's down below behind the fan and the grill surround here. So I'll have to get that right angle drill and do that. I got a set of short stubby bits in a right angle, so I'll do that. So I started working on wiring. Part of this project is going to be wiring in the fan control. This Entropy radiator has 2 fans, and they are loud. So I am going to be switching to a 3 relay setup, like GM does, to run on low speed. The fans will be in parallel, so they'll run at 6 volts-ish, so they'll run half speed. If needed, when a second relay or second trigger from an ECU is triggered, they'll both go to full speed. One time, in the entire time of having this, it was like 110 degrees outside. I was out back at the dumpster, sitting there. It was idling, and that second fan came on. That is the only time it's ever come on. So most of the time, this thing's going to be sitting at just 2 fans. And what I'm going to do is set that up with a pressure sensor in the AC lines. So I'm actually going to do this kind of both ways. So everything I'm told and everything I can find online, this thing uses, this stock motor and a Yukon uses, in addition to a BCM and a AC computer, a pressure sensor, so that the computer in the car knows what the pressure sensor or what the AC pressure is. So I've got the sub harness from the original harness for this, at the truck that this thing came out of, a Yukon Denali. I bought the pressure switch and a T to crimp in my lines. So I'm going to use that. And then through HP Tuners, I went in and did some digging around, and I can set pressures so that the fans, fan 1 and fan 2, which fan 1 will be 2 at low speed, will come on at a certain PSI. And I'm actually going to set that at the same PSI that the Vintage Air trinary switch would come on at, or the binary switch would come on, which I'm, top of my head, I'm not, it's like 526 or something. I don't know what, it's something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'll set in the computer so that the computer will sense the pressure, so that whatever that pressure is, it will trigger the fans. In theory, that's what they tell me. I'm going to try it. I figured nothing venture, nothing gain. It's a lot easier to put this in now, and if it doesn't work, well, fine. It's just a Schrader valve. I can screw that off of there, or just leave it plugged in. It ain't going to matter. I'm also going to wire in. Well, I'm going to put the trinary switch on the canister here, the evaporator canister, and I'll have all the wires run, just not hooked up. So in the event that this doesn't work, I can still use that. With that, I'll have resistors and diodes hooked in so that it doesn't trip out the computer by sending a ground to it. Anyway, we'll get to that once we do it, but this is kind of the start of it. So what I did was I just took it all apart. I'm going to run new wire for the fans. The fuel pump is already set up with a 10 gauge. And you can see here, I'll put a link up here with the video that when I did all this wiring originally, because right now what it is it's got a 6 gauge wire that comes off the battery, goes down, and on the bottom of the battery tray is a 100 amp breaker that services this panel only. So I've got the headlights, which the relays are on that side for high and low, fuel pump, fan 2, and fan 1. Right now, everything is 12 gauge for the fan 1 and fan 2 through the relays and over, and I'm going to rewire those in 10 gauge because that's what they recommend. But, and also doing this, my fuel pump is in this little thing here. So I was noticing, and it's not really that big a deal right now, but maybe someday later when I put a power adder on it, when the fans would kick on, there was such a current inrush that my fuel pump you'd hear like it's sucking some current from it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the fuel pump out of this. Really can't see, but this wire right here is an extra pigtail that comes off of my battery cable. It's an 8 gauge wire. So I'm actually going to run it through a 30 amp circuit breaker. I'm going to mount that on the bottom, I think, of the battery box. That's just solely for the fuel pump. So it has a direct line to the battery. And take it off of that thing. So there will only be 3 circuits on there. That thing's only rated for 100 amps anyway, which this shouldn't be a problem. Once I take the fuel pump off, the fans, everything will be happy. But anyway, that's what I started doing. I started taking all this harness wrap off, which I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but that's a lot of work. I don't know how the harness guys do it, the rework guys. But so I stripped all that out, got the sub harness out for my fans. That's all this. I'm going to switch this all to 10 gauge, run it through all the wiring. I know this is long-winded, but I'm going to run it through all the relays here. I'm going to add a 3rd relay for the fans. So there'll be 4 relays here. You'll have fan 1, fan 2, fuel pump, and then the fan high-low, which will go right over there. I'm just going to kind of tuck them all under there. Hopefully it'll all fit. But anyway, that's what I was doing today. And then I thought, I'll go ahead and I've never tightened down all these bolts here for the compressor. So I went to go start doing that and realized I don't have my torque wrench with me either. So, yeah, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes when you're doing these things. My shop is not at home, so it's good and bad. A lot of times it's trying to think of what tools do I need, what do I need to take with me. But, yeah, so next time I'm going to get that tightened up. We'll have these plates back. We can put the unit in there and install all of that. start running the lines because we're on a downhill slope here. There's not a lot of wiring involved. We'll get to that. I think it has power and ground, but it runs all the way to the battery. And it has one connection inside that ties into the car, or actually two, I think, for the ignition and the lights. So the control panel will light up. And then we'll just start doing all the wiring and everything. It's kind of all going to happen at the same time. I was hoping to get this part done today, but I don't have my drill. That's how it goes. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So I thought I'd give kind of a preview of everything that's coming up with all the wiring, which I love. A friend of mine, Shannon, he built a sweet truck, but just talking to him, and he's like, "You love it." I'm like, "I do." Just kind of figuring out how to make it all work. He has this set up in his truck, and I don't think he has Freon in his yet, though, but I'm anxious to see if that'll work. That'd be trick. Just having the computer in the truck run the fans would be awesome. And it also kicks up the idle, supposedly. So we'll see. I don't know. Drop a comment below if you've done this, if it works, if it doesn't work, if you know somebody, yada, yada. I'd like to know. If it's not going to work, then I'm not going to get crazy with it and put it in. But anyway, that's it for today. A lot of rambling, a lot of cool stuff coming. I just unfortunately do not have all the parts to make it actually happen today. So at least we got the 3 holes cut in the dash, and there were minimal casualties on that. I got lucky. I have a custom auto sound center speaker that I think if I flip the bracket around on this speaker here, if I flip this bracket around, this is actually flipped around, take this nub off here and slot this hole here towards my arm, this will fit with the air conditioning. So that's cool, because I didn't really want to put a stereo system in this truck or have to worry about that. So got that figured out today. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of cool stuff coming up. I apologize. It's just kind of the way the world works, the way these build works. You know, you feel like you're always waiting on something. So I'm going to get all the parts. I'm going to get out of here today. I'm going to clean up. I got my tools organized. That makes me feel better. But clean up the shop a little bit and get out of here, and we will hit it again. We got the Super Bowl. The Chiefs aren't in it. Bummer. But halftime show. Excited for that. So anyway, please like and subscribe. If you haven't or think about subscribing, it really does help the channel. Helps me kind of keep going too, knowing that people like this stuff. And having subscribers really helps out too on the monetary end too. And every little bit helps. I mean, I don't make a ton of money doing this, but it kind of keeps me going. So, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe. But that's it. Hope everybody has a good Sunday, and I have no dog in the game in the Super Bowl, but hope the Super Bowl goes well. Talk to you guys later.